An already glitching machine had finally croaked. The daycare attendant lied in pieces in parts and services. Down here in the maintenance room sat on-duty engineer Kevin. He was tasked with finding the most cost-efficient way to fix the situation. Together with the leader of the day shift, Brian Chestabel Crawford. The day guard was just lying on the inflatable mattress he had smuggled inside a few months ago. "Why am I here again?" muttered Brian. "You are the son of the current CEO of FNAF Robotics," replied Kevin as he stared at his repaired laptop. "Plus, I know you're high right now. This usually means that you have really dumb ideas that somehow always work out." Brian chuckled. "What does that mean, old man?" "It means you have connection with FNAF Robotics, can call them for approval of our little experiments, and you have silly little ideas that I really like." "Nice. You're Igor, I'm Frankenstein." Kevin growled. "No, I'm Frankenstein. I'm the one actually working." The two continued bickering like that for about 30 minutes, until Brian chuckled. "Well, if you're Frankenstein, why do you want my ideas then? Shouldn't the good doctor be smart on his own?" Kevin blew up his cheeks in frustration. "You cheeky bastard." "Well, if I were you, I'd just rip out both hard drives and put them in separate animatronics." Kevin's eyes narrowed. "Are you suggesting to separate them?" "Think about it, Igor." Brian now chose to make a terrible accent. "We will fetch the two brains and place them in new bodies. This will prevent the same issue from occurring again." Kevin thought hard. Honestly, he was a bit disappointed that he himself didn't come up with the idea. The daycare attendant had broken down due to a faulty wire making the lights in the daycare flicker over the night. While this would only lead to minor annoyance to other animatronics, due to the daycare attendant having a day and night mode, this led to his insides overheating and going haywire. And even both his moon and sun side attacking each other, as they made each other responsible for what happened. And by the end of it, the poor animatronic had ripped itself apart. Kevin now leaned over to an old cable phone hanging on the wall. It was used for internal calls. 1987, he muttered as he typed. "Hey, boss." Brian blinked. They seriously turned this bite into the Brian blinked. Did they seriously turn the bite into the phone number to reach the boss? Now that was hilarious. "We had an idea on how to fix this, as cost efficient as possible." Kevin explained the idea. Why is it cost efficient?" Kevin looked at Brian, who just rolled his eyes. He shouted loud enough for the boss to hear. "Hey numbnuts, remember the event we did when we made Monty the new Bonnie? Just do that. That should be enough to pay for the animatronic alone." Silence. He says what about the added maintenance with an extra animatronic and the programming?" "Remember, you pay Kevin by the hour, not by the job he does." Kevin bit his lower lip as he glanced at Brian. He then put his hand on the phone's microphone. "I hate you so much, Brian." Brian grinned. "More money for you, buddy. Think about it." The engineer blinked. "Yeah, some extra money would be nice. His son was having new dentures." "Oh yeah, I'm here. I'm still here. I'm listening." With a smirk, he gave Brian a thumbs up. He got the green light to proceed. Moon awoke with an annoyed growl. Something bright was shining in his face.
What is this?
He huffed as he looked up at the lamp.
Why am I seeing this?
His eyes tried to adjust to the brightness, but it was difficult. This is a mere test, said Kevin casually.
Kevin! How? Why can I see this light?
Because we ripped sun out of you. You're your own man now. The robot blinked in both excitement and confusion.
Explain, employee! Explain!
We took Sun out of you. He's already in the daycare and very excited to meet you. Moon chuckled.
Yeah, right. Why would he want to talk with me, Kevin? I was the one who tore off our faces.
It's now his face. It was cheaper to repair a skeleton than to put you into a new one. The robot now raised his arm to look at his hands. They looked normal.
Wait, so this isn't my body?
Technically. The robot sighed painfully.
This is a lot.
Kevin typed something into his laptop. Initiating emotional suppressor in 3, 2, 1. The robot shook his head as his mood was reset. Sighing, Moon quickly huffed.
Thank you. So where did you get the new skeleton from so quickly? I thought us daycare kittens are custom made. As not every franchise has a daycare.
If you want, I can explain it in detail. The robot nodded and the engineer began to summarize. Well, simply put, you have been out of commission for about a month. Same with Sun. We needed to reprogram your daily routine and give you a basic day one kind of thing. Moon blinked and checked his daily schedule.
So when the lights are on, I'm to act like a security staff but in the daycare? That's very condescending, Kevin.
The engineer chuckled. I just extended your nighttime program to work during the day, and just changed a few numbers and locations you're allowed to be in during those times. That was really simple, actually.
Kevin, you could have done this in a day. I know you. You're talented.
Talented and greedy. I get paid by the hour. Moon gave a defeated sigh. He really wasn't looking forward to this. He basically just became a peon. But again, 4 eyes were better than 2. The rules would certainly be followed now in the daycare. But wait, something was off about the number of rules he had in his hard drive.
Kevin, why have you deleted my rules?
No complaints that you were too scary. I discussed it with the boss. We deleted the ones he thought, were a little harsh, and now you punish a little less.
I hate you.
You and me both, buddy.
There's one more thing. There's a number that is off. It's too high. Why do I like Sun now?
Oh, it's because you will be working closely together, rather than just one of you being active at a time. I put it so high to avoid you two fighting and breaking each other. Though I may have put it a little too high. The engineer shrugged. And with that, Kevin released the animatronic to join Sun in the daycare. It was late. Frankly, you were tired. It had been a while since you had been rudely awoken by Brian in the middle of the day for an emergency shift. This entire night was considered overtime, so whatever. Overtime money made you feel comfy. And funnily enough, like you were being naughty. Because overtime usually wasn't something done at Fazbear Entertainment. And so, It itself was usually something highly coveted and respected. If people actually took their job serious, that is. Yeah, that was the problem. There were maybe 2 of your co-workers who actually cared. And that's that. Oh well. It was a night like any other. You were just more tired than usual. Right now you're sitting in the atrium, trying to stay awake. You had ordered one of the staff bots to make you a coffee. What a joke. You knew how the coffee machines worked, and you knew how to make a coffee you enjoyed. At least more than the fast blend coffee for parents, which was the coffee with the highest caffeine. But the company had strict rules when it came to employees misappropriating the machines to get free food. Meanwhile, from the second floor of the atrium, you were being watched by the team of Sun and Moon. Honestly, Moon disliked the fact that he liked Sun now, and Sun disliked the fact that Moon, even after everything, he still was grumpy as always. He didn't even want to finger paint. Though, they have found one thing in common, and that was watching the night guard. Sun was happy that his counterpart enjoyed this activity, as it was the most fun he had at night when his little friends weren't in the daycare. The 2 daycare attendants, after all, were both constructed to seek out human companionship.
So, how different does she act around you when it's dark?
Asked Sun, excited.
In the dark, she turns on the flashlight. She gets all twitchy. It's fun messing with her,
hushed Moon in response. Come to think of it, Sun hasn't experienced the blackouts yet. That surely would be fun to witness. With almost sadistic delight, Moon looked around, using his scanner to locate every lamp that would turn off in just a short while for the first scheduled blackout for the night. You finished your cup of coffee, sighing as you did. It felt really hot in your tummy, making you shiver. Sighing, you stood up.
She's moving! She's moving! After her!
The 2 mischievous animatronics followed you into Bonnie Ball, and then the Western Arcade, all without getting found by you. Though as you entered a nearby security office, knowing the first blackout was about to begin, Moon's attention shifted from you to Sun. You turned on a few desk lamps that you knew would stay on during the blackout. You're a little afraid of the dark, and you hated getting caught by surprise by it. You leaned against one of the chairs as you stared at the floor, mentally counting the final seconds. 3, 2, 1. The loud, unmistakable noise of the Pizzaplex's lights shutting down all at once echoed through the building as energy was rerouted to the batteries of the charging stations. Though nothing could have prepared you for the mechanical scream suddenly coming from just outside your office. All your hairs were standing up as you grabbed your heavy-duty flashlight. And with shaking legs, you opened the office door, only to find 2 animatronics, 2 daycare attendants, in a tussle on top of each other. You blinked, perplexed. What the hell was happening here? The Sun one was having a little meltdown, as Moon tried to calm him down. You pointed the flashlight at their faces, and they stopped struggling. While Moon held up a hand to shield his face, Sun was staring straight into the cone of light.
Thank you,
he cried. What is going on here? You allowed the robots to untangle themselves, and while Moon stood a little sideways, Sun was making a little happy dance in your flashlight's light.
It's my first blackout! The darkness, it's impenetrable! Ugh, it's so painful! How can you live in this moon?
Okay. Moon, what's your point of view?
He just got scared at the sudden lack of it. I mean, I'm almost painless in the light. He might as well be painless too in the dark.
You gulped. Do you two want to come in? You have a lot to explain to me. You stepped aside. Overjoyed, Sun immediately rushed past you, throwing himself on the chair you just sat in.
Oh, it's so warm!
That comment made you blush. Almost dejected, Moon followed him inside, climbing on top of one of the filing cabinets like a cat. You, meanwhile, sat down on one of the desks.
You're not supposed to sit on that,
says the robot on the filing cabinet. He blinked.
Point taken.
So what is happening? Mind someone explaining? It was Sun who, after a good stretch, began to explain the obvious fact that they had been separated. Something you wished Brian would have told you. Knowing the weed smoker, he probably told everyone else, except for you, selecting you specifically for this as a prank. But then, they talked about observing you, which made you gulp. It wasn't really the fact that you were being watched. It was the fact that you didn't notice it. Of course, you knew there was little privacy in the pizzaplex with all the cameras. The only places without them were a few security offices. Just want to clue it. It just made you painfully aware of how vulnerable you were 24/7. Noticing your discomfort, Sun got up and walked up to you.
Are you okay, Miss Night Guard?
Yeah. You exhaled. I just felt a little paranoid for a moment. The animatronic sat down next to you as he held your shoulder. He felt terrible. Though, as he did so, Moon's face made a 360 spin. He was jealous. He wanted to touch the night guard too. You rubbed over your forehead, feeling a little lightheaded. The problem was that you had felt comfortable in your position as night guard. It gave you a feeling of power and superiority you haven't felt like in your life before. And now, knowing that you actually weren't as good at the job as you thought you were, that stung. As you were in thought, you suddenly felt a second hand on your shoulder. Opening your eyes, both robots were now sitting next to you, making you blush.
Miss Night Guard, wouldn't you rather snuggle with me? I'm the more mature one after all.
Moon's grip around your shoulder intensified as he tried pulling you into his lap. Sun, realizing what Moon was attempting, narrowed his eyes, him too increasing his grip strength. Guys, you're hurting,
says the animatronic who needs to be programmed to be child-friendly. What did you just say?
Honestly, that was a pretty good burn. Boys, you're hurting! They now wrap both arms around you as they angrily stared at each other.
Take your attendance!
You shouted. The robot stopped moving for a moment. You sighed. Are you seriously fighting for my affection right now?
I mean, it wasn't in my intention at first, but now that he's actually trying it, he turned it into that. Why don't we let the night guard decide on that?
Your eyes widened.
Huh? Night guard, what do you like more? Me or Moon?
You never had two guys pining for you. And the fact that they were robots made it a little insulting. Well, boys, I think it would be unfair to decide like this out of the blue.
We are listening.
I haven't decided yet, okay? Jeez, why don't you make it easier for me? Moon chuckled. his other hand immediately reaching for your thigh.
Don't worry, Miss Nightguard. I understand what you mean.
Sun blinked.
Oh my, Miss Nightguard, are you really going to just let yourself be seduced like that?
You grinned. I mean, it's working. Narrowing his eyes, Sun angrily pushed Moon off of you, quickly jumping on your lap.
Hey, what gives? Well, let me show you how to truly seduce a human.
Angrily, Moon crouched on the ground as the animatronic observed Sun caressing your body lewdly. His hands going up and down your hips, squeezing you. Honestly, you were surprised yourself. He was pretty daring. Moon scoffed.
I can do that too.
You chuckled. Well, Sun, how about you let him sit behind me? It's a little unfair you just hugging me like that, you mused. And reluctantly, Sun let you reposition yourself. It surprised you, really. Maybe the machines were just as eager to see how far this would go as you were. Cradled with the Moon's arms, you sat down on the ground. The animatronic's hands were curious as they explored your chest, while Sun gave his full attention to the rest of your body. Your face was flushed, and you enjoyed the attention from the two machines. It was then, suddenly, when Moon pinched you, making you jolt and moan. The machines stopped moving, both staring at each other. Boys? They then looked at you, as the lights in their eyes turned red. Boys? Without warning, Moon's hands took hold of the buttons of your uniform, while Sun began fiddling with your belt.
Don't worry, Miss Nightguard. You're going to love what's coming next.
Thank you to the people who are supporting me on Ko-fi. You guys are keeping me alive.
Special thanks to the channel members Hella, Nextwrist, AJ Anime Girl 85, and Hopeful.